Welcome to the fourth video related to ASQ CCQM exam. In the previous video, which was number 3 in this series, we talked about the application process and the exam fee. Now coming to this fourth video, and in this we will be talking about the exam format. Now ASQ exam is an open book exam. What does that mean? How many questions will be there? And what is expected during the exam day. So those are the things which we will be covering in this video. Let's talk about the format of the exam. This exam is a multiple choice question, just like any other ASQ exam. Most of the ASQ exams are multiple choice question exams where you will have a question and you will have 4 choices, and out of that one will be the correct choice. You need to select that. In this exam, we have 165 questions. Out of these 165 questions, 150 questions are scored and 15 questions are unscored. So what does that mean is there will be 15 questions in the exam which will not be scored. You will not be marked for those questions. Those questions are for experimental purpose, which ASQ might use in the future exams. But for your exam, they will not count the answer to these questions. Now, which are these 15 questions? You will not know about them. So basically, you need to attempt all these 165 questions with your full sincerity. The duration of this exam is 4 hours and 18 minutes. And that's all you get to complete these 165 questions. And now if I use this calculator and see that how much time I get for each question, I get 1.56 minutes for each question. So basically 1.5 minutes for each question you get. So that is the speed which you need to maintain. So as I previously said, the questions will be multiple choice question and there will be one correct answer and there will be 3 wrong answers in that. Sometimes you might get confused that which one is the correct answer. 2 answers might look good, but then you need to select one of those which best answers the question. So even out of those 2 questions, choose the one which you think is the better choice. In these questions, you are judged at various cognitive levels. So the cognitive level could be just recalling. So you have a formula, whether you can recall that, or whether you understand this concept in detail, whether you can put that concept in practice. So there are various cognitive levels at which you will be checked during this exam. So these questions will be framed in such a way to check you at the various cognitive levels. Now, as we previously said that this is an open book exam. So the question will be what all we can bring in this exam. So what we can bring here is anything which is a printed handbook. So ASQ handbook you can bring to this exam. For this particular exam, the ASQ handbook has not yet been published. But once this is published, that handbook you can take to your exam. Or you can take any other book which you feel you can take to this exam. In addition to that, if you have a binder, for example, you have the printout of slides from our course, you can put them in a binder and you can take that also in the exam. What is not allowed is loose sheets are not allowed. And also you cannot take a set of paper which are stapled together. So you need to put them in a binder. And obviously you cannot take any digital documents or PDF because you are not allowed to take laptop, tablets or phone in the examination hall. So all these things will be kept away from you. So the only thing which you can take is the hard copies, hard copy of the book, but all those things should be in a bound folder or in the bound book. Loose sheets and the stapled sheets are not allowed. Now when it comes to open book exam, you might think that okay, I will take these 10 books. I need Juran handbook, I need this, and maybe I can take 10 books to the exam. Oh sure, you can take 10 books to the exam, but then you have a limited space in the table. So probably you will not be able to handle more than 2 books in the examination hall. So do not think of taking too many books with you for the open book exam. Just choose 1 or 2 books which you want to take with you. And when you're taking this material with you in the examination hall, make sure that they are properly tabbed and highlighted. So you can put a tab on that so that you can quickly open a particular section rather than struggling to find where we have that. And another important thing is don't rely too much on the open book. There is a very rare chance that you will get a direct answer to any question in the book straight away. You might get a hint, but then you don't have time to learn and explore about that topic during this exam. So, my guess is that for this particular exam, let's say CCQM, at the maximum, you might have 4 or 5 questions for which you might think that answer might be in the book. Other than that, you have to think yourself and answer the questions. So don't rely too much on the book. And in addition to the book, you can also take a calculator in the examination hall. ASQ also allows a backup calculator also. So basically you can take 2 calculators. But for this particular exam, I don't think you need a calculator. So at the maximum, you can take one basic calculator which you might need, and the chance of that also is less. And also remember that there is a built-in calculator. When you're taking the exam, there is a built-in calculator on the screen which you can use. But just in case you feel like taking a calculator with you, take the basic calculators. So here I have some of the calculators which I recommend for various ASQ exams. This is the basic calculator which is 30XA. This is the calculator I suggest for most of the basic exams such as CCQM, such as CQA exam, CQIA, CQPA. So for those type of exams, this calculator is good. In addition to doing some basic calculations, this can also find you the standard deviation, mean, etc. easily. But when it comes to some advanced exams such as Six Sigma Green Belt, Black Belt, CRE, in that case, I recommend these advanced scientific calculators. But you don't need these for CCQM exam, so let's put them away. In addition to the book and calculator, probably you might need a piece of paper to do some calculation. Once again, the chance of that is very low for CCQM exam. So just in case, if you need a piece of paper and pen in the exam, Prometric centers will not allow you to take your own papers or pen. So they will give you a sheet of paper or a laminated note board with a marker or a pen which you need to return back to them. But if you are taking this exam at home, in that case, my best guess is that you are allowed to keep a piece of paper, single paper, and a pen which you can use during the exam. But once the exam ends, then they will ask you to tear up that piece of paper into multiple pieces so that you cannot make any notes which you can take back. But once again, the chance or the need of that is very limited for CCQM exam. So now once you have completed these 165 questions, and when you press on the final submit button, so first email you will get on the same day. Prometric will send you an email maybe another 2-3 hours after the exam that will confirm your status, but then after 3 to 5 days this will be officially confirmed by ASQ. Now how the scoring is done. So if you look at the ASQ website, this will tell you that out of 700 you need to get 550 score. That is something which is calculated internally based on multiple factors, and one of the important factor is the difficulty of that exam. Each person might get a different exam, and depending on the difficulty level, your actual score is manipulated and calculated in the form of test score. So if you look at 550, it doesn't make any sense to you, but what your target should be to achieve roughly 70% marks. So if you are roughly 70% or above, you will pass this exam. And just in case if you fail, then you get a detailed report from ASQ which will tell that which are the areas in which you were weak and you need to rework on that. Coming to some few tips related to taking this exam at the test center and taking the remote proctored test. So if you are taking this test at the test center, make sure that you arrive 30 minutes early because they need to complete some formality and check in. So you reach there 30 minutes early and bring your valid ID, which could be your driving license or passport, and make sure that this is valid and it's not expired. And all your personal belongings such as the mobile phone or wallet and other things will be put in the locker there. So this was about the test center. And if you are taking the remote proctored examination in your hall, then you need to make sure that your space is set up. So you need to have a clean table, and on that clean table there should be nothing except what is permitted, which basically mean one calculator or two books, whatever you are allowed, and that will be inspected by prometric examiner. So they will look at what all you have on the desk, what is under the desk. They might even do the room inspection using your camera, and every time you take a break, the inspection will be repeated again. So talking about the breaks, you are allowed, I think, 3 breaks during the exam, but then the timer does not stop. So timer will keep running. So you still have 4 hours and 18 minutes to complete this exam. So even if you take 10 minutes break, that will be from your own time. Now coming back to the remote proctored exam, so the room should be well lit, quiet, and this should have a door, and nobody should be able to come in and out, and make sure that you have a strong internet connection. And if you have any doubt in that, probably I will suggest that you take this exam at the exam center. And obviously when you're taking this exam, you are not allowed anyone to interrupt you. You are not supposed to change windows, and obviously that will be logged. You cannot open a window and do Google search on that, so that will not be allowed, and obviously you cannot do that. And you are not expected to look away, which might give a doubt that you are doing something unofficial. So you are basically expected to keep your focus on the screen. Now, here are some general strategies. One thing which we have already talked, that you get 1.5 minutes for each question. So you make sure that you keep your pace and do not get stuck on a particular question. So if you have a doubt, mark that question and come back to that later and move forward, because you need to complete these in time. And make sure that you have 15 to 30 minutes at the end to review your questions, because if you mark some question, and you might want to come back and look at that. Another important trick which I learned recently, that when you're taking ASQ exam, you need to select one answer out of 4. But then if you right click on these options, that strikes out that option. So let's say if you're looking at the 4 option number 4 does not make sense at all. Then you just right click, so this will strike it out. So basically here you can do the elimination of some of those options. Then probably at the end you might be left with 2 choices, and out of these 2 choices you might want to select the right answer. But then you can eliminate these choices by right clicking on them. Another important thing which we talked earlier as well, that even though this is an open book exam, you should not be spending too much of time opening the book and looking at and trying to find out. Only you do that selectively when you think that answer could be in the book. So use that open book material selectively. And obviously you will put some tabs on that so that you can easily open a particular page where you have formulas or table. So that will help you in reducing the time for searching. Now just to wrap up this video, this exam is a multiple choice exam. You get 4 hours and 18 minutes. It is open book exam, and then there are 165 questions in that. So for taking this exam, you need the organized material which is properly tabbed, and an approved calculator and a calm mindset. Take it easy. This is not that difficult, I can tell you. So if you have been in the construction industry, and if you have gone through our online exam and the practice questions, you really do not need to worry much. Everything will come to your mind when you sit in the exam. Answers will come automatically. So don't worry, keep your mind cool and you will succeed. So this was the 4th video in this series. Next 2 videos, which will be video number 5 and 6, will be related to the body of knowledge. So what I will do is, in these 2 videos, I will go through the body of knowledge. We will briefly touch upon that what all we will be studying in CCQM exam. So in the video number 5, I will cover section number 1 to 4, and then in the next video I will cover section 5 onwards, and we will look at what all is included in this body of knowledge. And once again, Quality Gurus Inc. offers an online course which comes with a lifetime access. This is very affordable when you compare the price of this course with the price of exam or the price of retaking this exam, this particular course is so affordable and it comes with the lifetime access. You can refer to this later on as well after you have passed your exam. And on top of that, if you use the link provided on qualitygurus.com, you can save 20% amount from the public price, which you do not get on Udemy, where this course is located. So with this, now let's move on to the fifth video, where we will be looking at the first part of the body of knowledge.